Imagine sitting down at your desk, opening your laptop, and watching 45 minutes vanish into a black hole of emails, Slack pings, and checking your phone, just for a second. Now imagine the opposite. You flip open your laptop, plunge into a state of absolute cognitive flow, and surface 90 minutes later with a completed project that would normally take you an entire afternoon. It sounds like a late-night infomercial scam, but it is actually a precise psychological formula used by the world's most prolific creators. The truth is, most 8-hour workdays are a performance of productivity, a beautifully choreographed dance of shallow work that keeps you exhausted, but yields almost no real progress. What if the secret to doubling your output isn't working longer hours, but learning how to ruthlessly manipulate your brain's biological focus cycles? To understand how to squeeze 4 hours of traditional output into a brief 90-minute window, we first have to look at the silent killer of modern careers: attention residue. Every time you glance at a notification, swipe through a short video, or quickly reply to a text, your brain doesn't instantly snap back to your primary task. Instead, a piece of your attention stays glued to that distraction, like sticky chewing gum on a shoe, quietly drawing power away from your main objective. If you are constantly context switching, your brain is essentially running a dozen heavy background apps simultaneously, which drains your cognitive battery and leaves you with a sluggish, lagging mental processor. True deep work, a concept popularized by author Cal Newport, is the act of clearing out every single one of those background processes, so 100% of your mental RAM is dedicated to a single, high-leverage task. Think of it like a magnifying glass. Diffuse sunlight will barely warm a sidewalk, but if you focus those exact same rays through a lens, you can create fire in seconds. Most professionals operate like diffuse sunlight, scattering their energy across open browser tabs, chat notifications, and endless meetings until their real impact is completely diluted. But when you compress your timeline and block out the noise, you unlock an entirely different state of consciousness where time feels like it expands. Let's look at a common scenario. She is a brilliant marketing strategist, sits down to write a comprehensive launch plan, a high-value task she estimates will take her about 4 hours. She leaves her inbox open in a side window, keeps her phone face up on her desk, and begins to type. But every 3 minutes, a tiny red badge flashes on her screen, pulling her eye away. Even if she doesn't click the notification, her brain is forced to register it, evaluate it, and make a conscious choice to ignore it, which saps her energy before she even finishes a page. By hour 3, she has written 3 paragraphs, responded to 12 non-urgent emails, checked her newsfeed twice, and feels an overwhelming sense of cognitive fatigue without having actually finished her core project. She walks away feeling like she worked incredibly hard, yet her actual progress is painfully thin because she was operating in a state of fractured attention. She thinks her problem is a lack of time, but her actual problem is a lack of environmental engineering. The solution to her problem, and yours, is built on 3 strict pillars: ruthless elimination, radical preparation, and syncing with your brain's natural ultradian rhythms. To execute a high-velocity 90-minute deep work block, you must treat your attention like a VIP lounge, where distractions are strictly denied entry. Before you even think about starting your timer, your phone must be placed in an entirely different room, or locked inside a drawer out of sight. All desktop notifications must be toggled off. Your team chat apps must be set to Do Not Disturb, and your browser must be stripped down to only the essential tabs required for the task. If your phone is sitting on your desk, even if it is turned completely face down and silent, your brain is actively spending metabolic energy trying to ignore its presence. Research shows that the mere proximity of your smartphone reduces your available cognitive capacity because your mind is constantly policing the urge to check it. Once your physical environment is sterile, you must deploy the concept of radical preparation so you don't waste precious momentum wondering what to do next. Think of a surgeon walking into an operating room. They do not spend the first 20 minutes looking for a scalpel, adjusting their lighting, or reading the patient's chart for the first time. Everything is laid out, sterilized, and positioned perfectly for execution so that the surgeon can focus purely on the deep work of the operation. You need to define your exact deliverable the night before, breaking it down into a single, unambiguous action step so you can hit the ground running the moment your session begins. This brings us to the core engine of efficiency, the 90-minute block itself, which perfectly mirrors your body's natural ultradian cycles. Our brains naturally cycle through peaks and valleys of electrical activity roughly every 90 minutes, meaning your maximum focus has a built-in biological expiration date. When you try to force yourself to work for 4, 5, or 6 hours straight, you are actively fighting your own biology, resulting in severe diminishing returns. This biological resistance is what causes that fuzzy, burnt-out feeling by mid-afternoon, where you stare at a screen for an hour, reading the same sentence over and over. By capping your high-intensity focus at 90 minutes, you create a psychological sense of urgency, a ticking clock that prevents you from overthinking or drifting into perfectionism. During this block, you enter a state of cognitive hyperdrive, where you are no longer just reacting to inputs, but actively pushing a heavy creative rock up a hill with maximum force. Because your brain is entirely unburdened by attention residue, you will find that you can solve complex problems, write deeper prose, or write clean code at 3 to 4 times your usual speed. But what happens when the 90-minute timer goes off, and you are right in the middle of a massive creative breakthrough? The temptation will be to push through, to ride the wave for another hour. But this is exactly where most high achievers accidentally burn out their engines for the rest of the day. If you violate the time boundary, you drain your cognitive reserves completely, ensuring that the rest of your afternoon will be spent in a useless, distracted fog. The magic of sustainable deep work lies in what you do after the buzzer sounds, a counterintuitive strategy that acts as a cognitive cheat code for long-term consistency. To maintain this elite level of output day after day, you must master the art of the deliberate pause, leaving your brain hungry for more. When your 90 minutes are up, you must immediately step away from your desk and engage in a radical recovery break for 15 to 20 minutes. A radical recovery break does not mean scrolling through social media, answering texts, or checking your newsfeed, as these activities flood your brain with cheap dopamine and reset your attention residue cycle. If you transition from a stressful spreadsheet to an argumentative Twitter thread, your brain hasn't actually rested. It has just switched to a different flavor of high-stimulus input. Instead, you must do something entirely analog. Take a short walk around the block, wash a few dishes, stretch your back, or simply stare out the window with a glass of water. This quiet, non-stimulating time allows your brain's default mode network to kick in, which is the subconscious state where your mind quietly connects dots, solves background problems, and synthesizes information. It is the exact reason why your best ideas always seem to strike you in the shower, or right as you are falling asleep, because your conscious mind finally stepped out of the way. When you return to your desk for your next session after an analog break, you will find that your mental battery has plugged back into a wall charger, leaving you refreshed and ready to strike again, rather than drained and sluggish. True productivity is not about being busy, and hours spent sitting at a desk are a terrible metric for a successful, impactful life. If you can master just one 90-minute block of pure, unadulterated deep work every single day, you will outproduce peers who are chained to their desks for 8 hours of shallow noise. Do not let your precious days be dictated by the loudest notification in your inbox or the endless, reactive stream of other people's urgent priorities. Take control of your cognitive real estate starting tomorrow morning by picking your single most important project, locking your phone away, and committing to 90 minutes of uninterrupted execution. If you want to dive deeper into engineering your workspace, mastering your mental focus, and reclaiming your daily schedule, subscribe to our channel. The world belongs to those who can focus in a world full of noise. Go claim your time, protect your attention, and build something that matters.